Welcome, Jenny. Thanks for joining us, and welcome to everyone who's watching this recording at home. Of course, today is Eid, so we know that a lot of people had off from school. We hope your students are enjoying the holiday. And this is our final faculty advisor check-in for the year. So today we'll be reviewing the curriculum deliverables that your students have and the final conference. So actually, before we start, Jenny, if you just want to quickly introduce yourself and the school you're coming from, which is a brand new school.
Sure. Jenny Gabriel, and I'm from Lancaster Country Day School in Lancaster.
Excellent. And we're
Anything
really
else you'd like me to share?
Oh, no, that's wonderful. Well, maybe actually the thing you're most excited about for the final conference.
I'm really excited to see my kids in action because we've been doing a lot of preparation. So giving them an opportunity to jump into debate and figure out what it all looks like in reality.
Excellent. We're really excited to have your delegates. I know a lot of our schools are first-time schools this year. So hopefully, this will be helpful to everyone who's doing this for the first time. So just a quick recap of our dates coming up. Of course, the resolutions are due this Friday, the 12th. That is the assignment that all students are participating in. They're writing from the perspective of their country about their assigned topic. The two other assignments are optional. Those are the position papers and the opening speeches. They are due next Friday, April 19th. Jenny, did you have any questions about any of those assignments?
Don't think so. I just need to upload our resolutions to the file. They've all submitted them, and I think we're good to go.
Excellent. And actually, since you mentioned the Google folder, if you don't mind, I'll quickly pull up those folders just to remind everyone that this is where the resolutions are going. And Jenny, I'll actually pull up yours. So we have your folder right here, Lancaster Country Day. And of course, your resolutions will go in this folder. And then if you choose to do position papers or opening speeches, you can upload them right there. And any of you can ask me if you have any questions during that process. I also wanted to go over what the resolution process looks like after the council receives them. Of course, we receive all of the resolutions written by all of our country delegations. And during the final conference, for each committee room, we will pick 3 different clauses that we think are really interesting for debate. And we make a new resolution from those clauses. I'm actually going to show you what one looks like because I think that it can be very helpful to see this visually. So this is a resolution from last year. It was about ensuring access to medicines and vaccines. And you can see here that I have listed the different sponsors because we pulled a different clause from each different country that's listed here. So you can see if we scroll further down, and actually I'll go all the way, you can see these little numbers here. And we have these footnotes that show which school each of those clauses is from. So clause number 1 was written by these 2 students representing the Republic of Haiti from Chestnut Ridge Middle School. And then clause number 2 was written by students representing the Republic of Ghana, and they were from Orchard Valley Middle School. So this is what the resolution that students debate at the final conference, this is what it is going to look like. It's going to be this basically collaborative resolution that was written by students from all different schools. And if you have students whose clause was chosen, the council would notify you the week of May 1st. And that gives you some time to prepare those students to know that they'll be reading their clause in front of the General Assembly. They would go up in their delegation of 2 or 3. We don't ask them to do it alone. And they should be prepared to respond to questions that other delegates might have. And you can even practice with them, like have their classmates ask them different questions about their clauses and have them respond. Jenny, any questions about the process of selecting those clauses or what you should communicate to students if their clauses are selected?
I think I'm good to go. That sounds great.
Awesome. Great. One important note about these clauses is that students will debate 2 out of 3 because we do have a limited time for the final conference. So the students will vote on which one they want to debate first, second, and third. So even though this here is clause number 3, they might choose to debate that one first. So after they vote on the order of the clauses, the co-chairs will reorder this whole resolution. They'll debate the first and the second, and then the third clause will be subject to an up or down vote. And so I think it's helpful to tell students your clause might be debated. If it's not debated, it's okay. It's just because of the time. It's not because their clause wasn't fantastic. Like every clause that we choose it because we think it would be really interesting for debates. Another note is that even if a student's clause is not like perfectly written or perfectly formatted, it might still be chosen if the World Affairs Council thinks that it's really interesting. Like that's kind of what we're going for, is something that will get our delegates talking. So just a note on that criteria. So I will stop my share there. Any last questions about preparation for the final conference before we go over like the day of and the agenda?
I think I'm good. Sounds very
Mhm. Excellent. All right, so I'm going to pull up another document. I'm actually going to pull up one of our agendas for the final conference. So I think the first thing that's helpful to know is that we are back at Temple University and the format looks really, really similar to the prep conference. So we are going to have 4 different rooms. I know that a lot of faculty advisors said it is helpful to know that in advance in case you want chaperones for every room, but you don't have to. There's no chaperone requirement for Temple, and you're welcome to walk between rooms just like you all were at the prep conference. So this is a sample agenda for May 15th and 16th. On that day, we're at the Fox School of Business. And we have here, our different committee topics and committee 1 and 2. We don't have the rooms yet. Once we do, we will be writing the rooms here on the agenda and sending it to all of you. So you will have that in advance. Just like at the prep conference, your students will come wearing their diplomat badges. And then they actually, instead of going right to their committee rooms, this is a difference from the prep conference. You can see here that they will go to an opening plenary, which is in the auditorium. So we have registration from 8:45 to 9:30. We have a nice long time for that. And then we start with the opening plenary. We have a UN Secretary General who is going to do a roll call of nations. So that person will be calling out every country that we have present, and your students should be prepared to have someone stand up and say present or present and voting. We then will dismiss them to their committee rooms. And so it's going to be just like the prep conference. Water 1 is going to go to one room. Water 2 is going to go to another room, and same for the inequality groups. I'll take a pause there before I go through the run of day in the committee rooms. Any questions about what it's like when the students arrive?
Kate, I just had one clarifying question. I have
Yes.
it down as Tuesday, May 14th.
I am
Are
so
those
glad. I'm so glad that you mentioned Tuesday, May 14th. If you are, and for anyone watching, if you're Tuesday, May 14th, you are coming to Temple, but you're coming to a different building. I can actually show you that building on Google Maps. I can bring this down for a second and show you where that is. So you are going to come to a building called Mazer Hall. It is really, really close to the Fox School of Business. It's a 5-minute walk. And let's see, I have it pulled up here on this tab. So I'm going to bring my screen up again. So this is where Mazer Hall is. This is Alter Hall. This is where you all were for the prep conference. So 15th and 16th, you're still coming here to Alter Hall to the Fox School of Business. So you can see right there, Fox School of Business. If you are coming on the 14th, your agenda is going to reflect that you are going to Mazer Hall. So you could actually have the bus drop you at the same place if you would like. And then you just walk up that little brick path and you make a right. You'll recognize it by this big bell tower, which you can't really miss. And then you go down, the address is Pullet Walk, and Mazer Hall is right here. So you could also have the bus drop you off at 11th and Berks, but if it's easier to go to the place that you're used to and walk over, you can do that as well. This also has an auditorium, so everything else is the same. It's just a different building. Any questions about that building for the 14th?
All good. Thank you.
Excellent. I'm really glad that you asked about that because I had a little pin to mention that the 14th is in a different building. And if anyone has questions about that, of course, you can email me ahead of time. So I will stop this share. I'll bring our agenda back up. And of course, the agenda really looks the same for all of those days. The only difference is the 14th is in another building. Otherwise, whether you're 14, 15, or 16, the run of day will be the same. So at 9:55, this is where students will go to their committee breakout sessions, which again is according to their topic and their room number. When they walk in, they're going to see table tents, just like at the prep conference, but the table tent is going to have the name of a regional block on one side, and on the other side, it's going to have the countries that are in that block. So, it might say Europe 1, and it's going to list all the countries in Europe 1, just in case, because your students are probably not going to know which block we have them in, right? We have 2 Latin America, Caribbean blocks. The students don't know how we've organized them. They just need to check the other side of that table tent and see, okay, I'm representing Honduras, so I'm in this Latin America and Caribbean block. So they're sitting in their country delegations at their regional blocks, and they'll be sitting again with student delegates from other schools, which is really wonderful. So they start with another roll call. The co-chairs will call out all of the countries that we expect to be in that room. And then this part right here, setting the committee agenda, that's when they vote on which clause they want to debate first, second, and third. And then we move into the fun part, which is that the delegates present their clauses, and we move into a moderated caucus of debate and then an unmoderated caucus. So right after this, we have students amend the resolution. Each block will get an amendment form, and they write the changes that they would want to make to that clause. And then the delegates all vote on which amended clause they will accept into their final resolution. Any questions about this particular process? Because this is really the meat of the final conference.
All good.
Okay, excellent. So this process is really rinse, wash, and repeat for the second clause. The delegates ask clarifying questions to the authors of the clause. They then have a moderated caucus, an unmoderated caucus. They amend the clause, and then everyone votes on the amendments. And then again, clause number 3, this is subject to an up or down vote on whether to include it in the resolution. So then that concludes their committee time. There is a working luncheon here. So just a quick note that just like the prep conference, students should bring a lunch and they'll be eating while they work during the final conference. At 1:20, they come back to the auditorium for the closing plenary session. So the co-chairs give closing remarks. We announce any awards. We will have facilitators in the room, keeping an eye out for delegates who do a really excellent job or delegations who work exceptionally well together. And then we present those awards during the closing plenary, and we gavel out at 1:45. We often do have schools who need to leave a little earlier than this because of busing needs. If that applies to your school and you have an award, we would mail you whatever awards your students have. So any questions about that last part of the day?
Looks great.
Okay. Excellent. So I'm going to stop my share. I'm just checking my notes for other things to note. And I think that actually folks might remember this from the prep conference. We announced that the dress code is Western business. So many students came in this already at the final conference, but just as a refresher, we asked students to avoid jeans, sneakers, sandals, and dress as though they are delegates going to the UN. Any schools that have a school uniform, that works really well for these purposes. Of course, students bring their own lunches. And if your student's clause is chosen for the final conference, definitely have them practice reading that clause beforehand and have them practice answering questions. It'll help them to feel much more confident. Um, any, oh, and a reminder on awards as well. So we have awards for the position papers and opening speeches. If a student's resolution is chosen, even though there's not a paper award for it, they should feel like that is an award. Like that's our version of the resolution award. So I'm just emphasizing to students that if their clause was chosen, it's a really big honor. Any other questions about the final conference day?
I think we're good.
Okay, excellent. So of course we went over, the room assignments. We went over the two different buildings. So May 14th, Mazer Hall, May 15th and 16th is the Fox School of Business. I do want to show you, Jenny, our new website. I don't know if you have been on it yet or not.
I have not. I saw your email, so I'm
Oh,
looking forward to seeing it.
very, very exciting. So I am going to do a screen share and I'll bring it up because you might find yourself on here right before the conference. It is very beautiful and fresh and new. So I have to pause and give flowers to my colleagues who worked so hard on this. So when you come to our website, I think that actually everyone will find it easier to navigate than it was before. And for anything related to Model UN, especially the resources ahead of the final conference, you're going to go here to youth programming, and you're going to go to middle school programs. Once you're here, every single middle school program is on this page. Like you don't have to go anywhere else. You do have to go one more place to get to the Model UN resources page that all of you have probably spent a lot of time on. You're going to scroll down, you're going to look for this section, Junior Model United Nations. And when you come to the bottom of it, you're going to go here to Student Resources. And once you come to Student Resources, you're going to find a whole variety here of our resources. Like before we had these on, I think 3 different pages, right? We had general resources, resources on water, resources on income inequality, and everything was on its own page. Now it all has one home. So we have our general resources up here. We have our Model UN resources. And then when you scroll down, you're going to see here resources on resolutions and position paper and opening speech videos. You're also going to see 2024 final conference resources. If you need any ideas for practicing public speaking and clarifying questions, we have those for you right here, which is wonderful. And then if you scroll even further down, you can see, and I know that you are at the end of your research process, so perhaps you won't need these, but if you do, our water resources and our income inequality resources are right here. So everything that you need is on this student resources page, and you get there through the middle school programs page. Any questions about that, Jenny?
Looks great. It looks easy to navigate, so that's great.
We're really excited. And I'm actually going to navigate back to this page because the last thing that I want to tell everyone about, it's not a Model UN topic. However, I think it's something that everyone will be excited to hear. Registration is open for our United Nations summer camp. I know that many of your students, Jenny, are quite far, but if anyone does have, although we did have a student come from Boston last year, so let me revise my statement. You might still have students who are interested who want to come to Philadelphia for the week. or anyone with local students, this is right in Center City. We have this camp at our office. And this year we are focusing on industry, innovation, and infrastructure, SDG 9. We're really excited about it. We're going to be looking at all different types of infrastructure around the world and how we can make it better for our global population. And then the last day of this camp is a trip to the United Nations. So it's a great camp. Registration is open if any of you want to share this with your families, and they can register at this link right here. We also do have scholarships available for the camp, so that's good for everyone to know. So I am going to pull my screen down. Jenny, any last questions about the program? I'm so glad that you're here as a new advisor, because I'm thinking that if it's all understandable and clear to you, then it's probably quite clear since you'll be seeing it for the first time. But anything that I can elaborate on or clarify for you?
I think we're good after having 2 visits under our belt. I think we know where we're going and figuring all those pieces out. And so I'll just be excited to see my kids participate.
Excellent. We are very, very excited to have them. And if any questions do come up, of course, you can call or email me at any time. So thank you so much for hopping on today and being my one check-in person. I'm sure we're going to have many watch the recording. So thank you for bringing your questions and your insights today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all the information.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for watching. I'm going to end our recording.